On the first day of Christmas, the Meebros gave to me. Welcome to the Meebros Sports Show. I'm the oldest bro, Scott Meeberg.
I'm the middle bro, Kurt Meeberg.
And I'm the youngest bro, Brett Meeberg, and I did like that song.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
We're three brothers chatting about sports and other stuff, and today we're going to be discussing weeks 15 and 16 of the NFL.
But first, like we usually do, I wanted to start it off with a little bit of college. And there wasn't a lot that happened in college football this past weekend. You know, the annual military game, but we don't really have a whole lot to talk about that. And we did talk a little bit about the upcoming matchups last week. So we're going to start out with some college town trivia.
I did just want to give a shout out to Cole. Left a comment about factoring strength of schedule into college playoff. Cole, like the idea, it will definitely go into our proprietary college schedule playoff figuring out AI that we're totally working on.
Yeah, definitely in the works behind the scenes.
We hired someone
that.
on Fiverr yesterday, so
Definitely. So the way this college town trivia is going to work is I am going to name a state university, such as the University of Wyoming or Wyoming State University, and Brett or Scott will have to say the city that university is in. Now, the way we're going to do it is we're going to take turns. So Scott will start us off, and then Brett will go next. If Scott can't get it, we're going to keep the leash pretty short here. You got 10, 15 seconds. We're not going to let you think forever. If you can't get it, Brett gets a chance to steal, and then we'll move on. Brett will have his turn, and we'll go till, one of you maybe gets 5 or so points. Any questions?
Typically, as Canadians, we're laughing at the Americans who don't know things about our country, who think we live in igloos and ride polar bears to school. So we figured this was an opportunity for you Americans to laugh at what we don't know about your country.
So we'll see what happens. I think that I tried to start it off pretty easy here, but I don't know what Brett and Scott do or do not know about these college towns. So I will say that for the most part, most of these towns or most of these are not in very big cities, definitely not major metropolitan areas.
Amazing.
So we're going to start it off with the hometown University of Tennessee Volunteers.
All
Scott, where does Tennessee play?
This is the only one I knew.
I do know this one. I have been to this city, big, beautiful stadium. My fiance and I got dinner at a really great restaurant just across the street from the stadium. The Tennessee Volunteers play in Knoxville, Tennessee.
That is correct.
Really wish you'd given that one to me.
So let's move on to Brett. We were going to go just a little north and head to the University of Kentucky. Where does the University of Kentucky call home? Now, Scott, remember, if Brett cannot get this in a reasonable amount of time, you will have a chance to steal. So be prepared there.
I actually feel like I know this one, and as soon as I hear it, I'm going to click it, but I have no clue. I know it's near Asbury, but I'm actually not even sure if that is a college or a city. So I'm going to say Asbury, but I'm pretty sure that's not correct.
Asbury is a college. I don't believe it is a city, but that is incorrect.
The only city that I can name off the top of my head in Kentucky is Louisville.
That is also incorrect. The University of Louisville is.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did think of Louisville, but.
But the University of Kentucky calls Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh,
absolutely not, actually. Yeah.
Right.
I was thinking a D city.
Back to Scott. We're going to go with Florida State University. Where is Florida State University?
Florida State University. They are the Seminoles, correct?
That is correct.
I believe they're in southern Florida, Orlando. I know that's not right.
It is not Orlando. Brett, can you tell me where Florida State plays?
I don't think it's Jacksonville, but I'll go Jacksonville.
It is not Jacksonville. It is also not South Florida at all. It's up in the Panhandle, Tallahassee. Florida State plays
I did know
Tallahassee.
Man.
I did not know that.
Okay. We're going to stick right there in Florida and go with the University of Florida, Brett. Where does University of Florida play?
Oh, I feel like they are northwest. Or no, maybe I don't think it's Miami, but I don't know. I'll go Miami.
I am
It is not
realizing
Miami.
I'm realizing that I thought Tallahassee was where Florida played, and now I'm conflating the Florida State and University of Florida. I'm running out of cities in Florida that I know. The University of
University of yeah,
Miami plays in Miami.
that's what I was like.
Correct.
Yeah.
Um, the
University of
University
Central
of
Florida plays in Orlando.
Oh,
okay, the University of Florida, the Gators, the Swamp, where Tim Tebow played. All of these
yeah.
things are true.
Yes.
Um,
But the city is
Murfreesboro. That's not even in Florida.
that is in Tennessee. The University of Florida is in Gainesville.
Oh,
Gainesville, Florida.
I have also
Okay.
heard that.
That's
Okay,
the closest one I've got to hearing, I think.
back to you, Scott. We're going to go with Ohio State University. Where does Ohio
Oh,
State University play?
oh man, it's a city starting with A, is it not? Um,
I'm not going to give you a hint.
the name that's coming to me is Albany. I know that's the capital of New York, but it could also be a city in Ohio. I'm going to say Albany.
It is not Albany.
I feel like you're thinking of Akron, Ohio, where LeBron
Mm,
James came from,
could be.
but I don't think that's where Ohio State is, but I also don't know. Um, I'll go Cleveland.
No.
It is not Cleveland, but that's closer, sort of. Ohio State University plays in Columbus, Ohio.
I
Oh,
actually did know that. Super knew
you
that
know,
actually.
I think what you should have done is she should have given us the towns and we could have named the universities. But
I could do that going forward if you would
yeah,
like,
let's try that. Yeah, I feel better about that. Let's just
Can't
let's
get worse.
but then the problem is I would be giving you the state and you would know. Or should I just give you the name of the city?
just
I
give us
think
the
you're
name of the city.
overestimating how much we'd know.
Yeah, just give it. These are small towns in states that we don't know that well.
Okay.
Just try it.
You
Let's
can
give
just
it a
give us the
shot.
city, like, don't give us the
Yeah,
state. Just
don't give
tell
us
us
the
the
Okay.
state.
city.
So for the next one, the city that this university plays in is Eugene.
I know this one.
Is it
This is
not?
for you, Brett. It's for
Yeah.
you, Brett.
Oh, it's for me.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea. Couldn't tell you a state. Um, go Texas, and I'm gonna go Texas A&M.
It is not
This
Texas
is
A&M.
the University of Oregon.
Correct. The
Not in a
University of
million years.
Oregon plays in Eugene, Oregon. Okay,
Sure.
Scott, back to you. We'll give you the city as Austin.
Okay, well, obviously that's Austin, Texas. That is Texas, uh, Texas A&M.
It is not Texas A&M. Brett, who
I
plays in
think it's
Austin?
I think it's the Longhorns.
Yeah, okay.
Final answer?
Yeah, Texas Longhorns.
It is the University of Texas
Okay.
Longhorns. They play in Austin, Texas.
I thought, yeah, I
I
thought.
feel like I could have got that just from the University of Texas. Yeah.
Okay, next one for you, Brett. This one maybe should be okay. Athens, the city of Athens.
This is University of Georgia.
Yeah.
That is correct.
I knew
University of
that. You could have given me Georgia. You could have given me Athens. I would have known that either way.
I would not have got it from Georgia.
Now, next one for you, Scott. City is College Station.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
This is College Station, Texas. Is this where Texas A&M plays?
Is that your final answer?
I'm gonna say it is. Yeah.
That is correct. Texas A&M plays in College Station, Texas.
I don't think I would have gotten there.
I would just keep guessing Texas A&M. I would have got it eventually.
I mean, there's a lot of schools in Texas, like TCU's in Texas, SMU's in Texas. Like, there's
Where
a lot
does
of Texas
TCU
things.
play? I have no
Fort
idea
Worth.
where TC
Fort
Fort
Worth.
Worth. Okay. Could not
SMU
have
plays
told you that.
SMU plays in Dallas. TCU plays in Fort Worth.
All right.
Those aren't on here, so I'll go ahead and give
Clearly.
you those.
Hmm.
So, Brett, you're up next. The city is Chapel Hill.
Come on, Brett.
I know this one.
They have a very famous coach who,
Ole Miss?
oh my gosh, Brad, it's
It
I
is
don't know.
University of North Carolina,
it,
Chapel Bill.
it is the University of North
Uh,
Carolina. They play in
yeah,
Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
wouldn't have got there. I
Okay,
don't feel
up
bad about it.
next we have Columbia.
Columbia. Oh gosh. I have zero idea. Is this Ole Miss?
It is not.
I think this feels northeastern.
It
Columbia,
is not Northeastern.
Ohio?
No.
It's
No,
not
Columbus,
northeastern.
Ohio. We already talked
Yeah,
about that
Columbus,
one.
Ohio. I, um, I already said it's not northeastern, but I don't freaking know. So give me a good old Maryland.
It is not Maryland. It is the University of South Carolina. Plays in
Oh,
Columbia, South Carolina.
I would never have
Sure,
gotten that.
sure.
Now, the next one, well, I have to skip that one because
You could give us the university.
If
okay,
we already talked about it.
the university for this one is the University of Iowa. What city does the University of Iowa play in?
Is it Des Moines?
It is not Des Moines.
Uh,
Iowa City.
It is Iowa City,
right.
Huge ups.
which is why I could not give you the city name.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah. Should have thought that one through a little harder.
Now, we'll go back to giving you the city, Scott. Ames.
Ames? Can you spell it for me?
Ames. The city of Ames. Who plays in Ames?
I would have never have gotten this if you'd given me the university. I'm not going to be able to get the university. A state school in Ames, Nebraska.
Close, but no.
Seems like a decent pull.
The
Um,
University of Nebraska plays in Lincoln?
That sounds
that
right.
sounds right.
I believe so.
I have absolutely no idea. University of Wyoming.
It is not the University of Wyoming. It is actually, we stayed in the same state. It is Iowa State University. Plays in
Sure.
Ames, Iowa. Okay, we've only got 3 left here. We're doing great so far. Scott has 4 points. Brett has 2. 3
I have
left.
two.
You
I
only have
should
2.
have more points if you count the ones that I got for Brett.
Iowa City. I got Texas Longhorns. I thought I got another one more.
You did
No.
not.
All right, keep going.
Okay. So this one is Brett's. We have the University of Illinois. What city does the University of Illinois play in?
Can I name a city in Illinois other than Chicago?
I know. That's what I'm like. Hmm. And you said it wasn't a big city, so not Chicago.
It is not
North.
Chicago.
I feel like we talked about this like
We talked
several
about
weeks
this
ago.
last podcast, I believe.
Last podcast,
That
not on
sounds
the
like
air.
us. That sounds like us.
It may not have been on the podcast. It may have been off podcast. I don't know.
Burbank. I don't even think that's a city in Illinois.
It's
But
not Burbank.
That's in
I don't.
California.
I thought
Yeah,
so.
I don't know that that's a city in Illinois.
Yeah, we definitely talked about this in the last recently. Illinois City.
Not Illinois City. It is Champaign. Champaign, Illinois.
Didn't have
Never in a
any
million
memory
years.
of that.
2 left. These are I mean, I left them for last because they're probably the toughest. But
Great. Give it to me.
we've got the University of wait. No, we're giving you the city, aren't we?
You can do what you want. I'm probably
Everyone
not
you
going to
think
know
is
it either
easier.
way.
Right,
Yeah.
sorry. The city. I mean, either one, it doesn't really matter. Charlottesville. City is Charlottesville.
North Carolina, we already said. There is a Charlottesville, North Carolina, is there not?
There's a Charlotte.
Charlotte, North Carolina. It's got to be one of those southern states. South Carolina, we did. North Carolina. Maryland.
It is not Maryland. Brett, do you have a steal? You
Arkansas.
need to get the last two here to tie Scott.
I have Arkansas for you. I see
It
you're getting the last two,
is
and I raise you in Arkansas.
it is not Arkansas. The University of Virginia plays
Oh,
in
I did think Virginia.
Charlottesville,
I didn't say
Virginia.
it. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, very last one. Brett, we'll see if you can get it. It is probably the toughest one, Morgantown.
I've heard this. Guess Arkansas again.
University
You-
of Washington.
The University of Washington actually plays in Seattle, so they did not qualify
Oof,
too big of a
brutal.
city.
I did know that.
Thanks.
I've read The Boys in the Boat. Morgantown. Morgantown, Wyoming.
Not Morgantown, Wyoming. It is Morgantown, West Virginia. The University of West Virginia Mountaineers play in Morgantown, West Virginia. So
Good for
we
them.
had a total of, I believe, 16, and we had a total of 6 correct answers.
That seems not bad. I'm proud of those results, honestly.
I do think that if you'd given us the cities from the start, I would have got a few more of those, but
I don't think I would have.
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
I hope this was entertaining audio for everyone.
Anyway, we can move on to
If
something
you're
that we
still
might
listening, why?
No. Keep
be
on listening.
slightly more educated on, and that is the fact that we got all of our picks last week correct. That is 2 weeks in a row that each of us have picked our highlighted game correctly. So don't listen to what everybody else says, but if we pick the game, listen to our pick.
We're on a hot streak.
Hot
So,
streak.
with that being said, what game did you pick last week, Scott?
I picked the Lions against the Rams. I thought it was going to be a close game. It was not that close. The Rams pretty much blew out the Lions. It was a fun game. There was a lot of scoring. Amon-Ra St. Brown went off. Devontae Adams went off in a negative way with an injury. Puka Nacua also seemed to be off and back on again. So the Rams are looking a little beat up. It'll be interesting to see how they fare this week against Seattle. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Brett, do you
I
want to
wouldn't
tell
really
us
say
about
the
your
Rams
game?
blew them out.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I guess they
I
did
would
in the
actually,
third quarter.
I would disagree that the Lions were up at halftime 24-17. And then I think it was 24-17. Is that right? Yeah, 24-17.
Yeah.
Lions were up at halftime. And then the Rams had a big 17-point third quarter and kind of, were able to finish off the Lions from there. But the Lions were up to begin this game. And it was a pretty good game. It was interesting but from both sides. Matt Stafford really trying to cement that MVP case. He's definitely the favorite now. So I thought it was a good game. I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't as much of a blowout as I was thinking. I somehow had the Lions with 20-something points, but no, it was close all the way to the end.
What about your game, Brett?
I last week said this was a very easy pick, and it was a little bit harder game than I honestly thought it would be, but I picked the Chargers over the Chiefs, and they beat them. I said the Chiefs are not the Chiefs that we know. I've been actually on this little pick streak here of mine because I've just been picking the Chiefs to lose, and it's gone really well for me. So I did that again this week, and I'm maybe going to continue to do that.
They play the Titans this week, so we can talk about that, but I don't know how well that would continue to go. Kurt, why don't you talk about your game, then we can get back to the Chiefs.
Yeah, they're playing the Titans, but as we'll talk about, that might be a tougher game than it originally would have been. But I picked the Buffalo Bills to go beat the Patriots, and they did, in fact, beat the Patriots. Now, after the first half, the Patriots fans were dancing on the graves of everybody else in the AFC East, thinking that they were going to reign supreme for the next, career of Drake May. And then the Buffalo Bills came back and showed them that there's still a little bit of the daddy in the AFC East. Buffalo ended up winning this game 35-31. We'll see, Josh Allen,
He is a
he
daddy
might
now, just announced.
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Well, pregnant.
likely to be a daddy in the near future.
Well, good for him. But he threw 3
We're on
touchdown
daddy
passes in this
watch.
game. And with
We're on Granddaddy watch. We talked about Phillip Rivers.
the Chiefs being out and the Ravens, we don't know if they'll make the playoffs. This looks like a really good chance for Josh Allen to make the playoffs, make a Super Bowl run. This was a good step in the right direction. And with this win, it's not out of the question that the Bills, win this division. And that could be a big deal because it could be the difference between a 2 seed and a 5 seed in the AFC. So good game for the
Yeah,
Bills. Way to come back and win it.
I was with Kurt on this one. I picked the Bills over the Patriots. Thought it wasn't gonna be that close, but it was close. But yeah, I think the Patriots are our fake team. Don't think they're going anywhere in the AFC, and they did have a lead on the Bills, but I just don't. I think they're still a year away.
I had to pick the Patriots on this one. I agree it was tough, but it was a really good game. Obviously, the Patriots had the lead to start the game. Drake May looked ascendant, and then Josh Allen just put the team on his back, carried them the rest of the way. Did Josh Allen things, and the Bills won in the end. We can move on to the story that we teased a little bit before, though. Patrick Mahomes in that Chargers and Chiefs game, with about 2.5 minutes left, went down and limped off the field, and we discovered that he did indeed have a torn ACL. So he's out for the rest of the season. He's probably going to have a tough rehab over the offseason and could come back for the start of next season, but it's more likely that he'll miss a few games next year. Typically, the ACL is a pretty long, tough recovery. And I believe in the surgery, they discovered he'd also torn his LCL in his knee. So that's a big blow for the Chiefs. Kind of puts the brakes on their dynasty, maybe the end of an era, starting a new era. Um, I've seen a lot of comparisons this week to Tom Brady, who in his eighth season, I believe, um, went and tore his ACL in about the third week. So some Brady Mahomes comparisons there. We'll see if Mahomes can do the next 15 years just like Brady did.
After winning 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd say it's the end of an era. I do think, obviously, the bigger storyline here, I think, is next year because the Chiefs are out of the playoffs this year. With this loss, I mean, sure, him getting injured, they had a chance to win it, but with him getting injured, it kind of threw that out the window. But yeah, I think next year we'll see what happens with Mahomes. But like you said, it's really a full year recovery to get back from an ACL most of the time. So he could end up missing a good portion of the season next year. And what are the Chiefs going to look like without him? I don't know. I still think that it with Mahomes being there, it's still the same era, and I think they'll still hang on and be a good team. But I don't know what they'll do in the offseason. Maybe they'll go get a veteran QB that they think can, at least be a stopgap, hold them to a decent record until Mahomes is able to make it back next year. But we'll see. Hopefully the Chiefs are able to not have a 2-year skid here, but I don't know what'll happen.
Honestly, it could be for the best to take a little bit of an off year, have Jameis Winston fill in for them, let Travis Kelce retire, clear some cap space, get a high draft pick in the 2027 draft, which everyone's talking about is an incredible draft. They don't need a quarterback, so if they do get a strong draft pick, they could trade that for more assets. I could see it being advantageous for them to have a bad year next year.
If anybody knows anything about this podcast, is that we are big fans of a Jameis Winston year. So yes, Chiefs, go out, get Jameis and have him play for the beginning of the year.
Another option is to go out and get the Mormon Missile, Tanner McKee. Let's see a full season of him.
He'd be too good. They don't want him. You want fun, but still losing the game.
Gardner Minshew.
I do not, in fact, think that is the case. I don't think he would be too good.
Okay, so we can move on to the other major injury that happened last week in the third quarter of the Denver Broncos Green Bay Packers game, which the Broncos end up winning, clinching their playoff spot and potentially solidifying them as the 1 seed in the AFC. Micah Parsons went down with a torn ACL, so he is out for the season. Obviously, he was their best defensive player, huge engine of that defense, great pass rusher for the Packers. I think this pretty much dooms their chances of making it to the Super Bowl or even making much noise in the playoffs. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the thing with Micah Parsons, like he's a really good player, and I think he does a lot for that Packers defense. I just don't really think they're generating a lot of pass rush outside of Micah Parsons. So I think this could be a big deal for the Packers, unfortunately. Like I think they were definitely a Super Bowl team before this injury, and I'm not so sure about them anymore. So we'll see what they do, but I don't think that defense is nearly as good as it was without him. Obviously, with a great player like that going down, it's not going to be the same. But
Yeah, I wasn't really
what do
super high on the Packers before the injury, and so after the injury, I'm pretty out on them. I still don't know if Jordan Love can do it, and now without their best defensive player, I don't think it's going to go so well for them.
and
Yeah.
speaking of injuries, one guy who did not get injured, but his throwing motion looks like he's constantly injured. It's my boy, Philip Rivers.
Your
It
boy,
And
seems weird
yes,
to call him your boy. I think he's a grown man, my old man
Gramps,
Rivers,
Unk.
he still acts like a little boy.
a big
A-
boy.
And I don't know. This game was something. Like, look, the Colts kept it close, and that's really all you could ask for against a good Seattle team. Honestly, this might have been the Colts' best defensive performance of the year. Like I don't know, there's a couple other good games, but this was like they held Seattle only to field goals. They kicked 6 field goals on them, didn't allow a touchdown. They came out, rallied behind the fact that Philip Rivers was coming out of nowhere, Alabama, to come quarterback this team. They really played hard, and unfortunately, the last series they gave him a field goal, 47 seconds left in the game. Uh, Seattle's able to drive down the field, get close enough to have Jason Myers hit the game-winning field goal. But I don't blame them for giving up a field goal in that short amount of time. Like they had played their butts off all game long. It's tough to play that hard, try to hold their offense in check all game, knowing that your offense really isn't going to do much of anything. Like Philip Rivers had 4.4 yards per attempt in this game. Like it was check downs. He has no arm strength. I get that he can probably read a defense better than some of the other options like Riley Leonard, but I just don't know. Again, like I said last week, I don't know what the goal here is. Like Riley Leonard might not be better. Anthony Richardson now it sounds like he is back from his injury, but I just don't really understand the reasoning behind Philip Rivers playing. Like I don't think you're winning a Super Bowl with him. I don't think anybody thinks that. Like what's the point here?
I mean, there's two things. First of all, I think Rivers did exactly what he needed to do. I don't think anyone expected really for them to win this game. He only took one sack, and that was where he basically tripped and then ran the ball forward a few yards before getting downed. So he got the ball out quickly. He passed it off to Jonathan Taylor. He allowed them to score points, and their defense did the rest. So, good on him. I think what we missed in our discussion last week, we talked about his Hall of Fame credentials. We talked about him being buddies with Shane Steichen. We missed the fact that after 5 years, his NFL health insurance was about to expire. NFL health insurance, as you may or may not know, also covers all of your dependents. And Philip Rivers has more dependents than just about any other human alive. The man has like 10 children. So now he's played a game. He gets 5 more years of health insurance. And for him, that's saving thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. This was a money decision for Rivers. He needed a health insurance just to keep his family alive.
I do think there's a few factors there, honestly, and that might be one of them. But I think that now that Anthony Richardson is back, I think you have to try to trot him out there. I mean, you probably won't now that Philip Rivers is in the building, but like with Anthony Richardson's back, I think he gives you a higher ceiling than Rivers, right? And I think if somehow he gets hot, this is the quarterback you could actually maybe win a playoff game with. Where I don't know if that's the case with Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers was historically pretty bad in the playoffs, also. So like now the 10-year-old version of him probably won't be very good at the playoffs either. But I think, and like also, what are you going to do with Anthony Richardson if you don't like put him out there? Are you just going to keep him on the bench, cast him aside? Like you did still draft him fourth overall. This feels like his shot. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, I just don't really get it. But I also don't get the Panthers. The Carolina
Yeah.
Panthers are they're something else.
We were
Y-
looking at this before the podcast. They won obviously this past or they lost to the Saints this past weekend. Before that, they'd beaten the Rams, who we all thought were a great team, lost to the 49ers, beat the Falcons, lost to the Saints. So they've lost to the Saints twice this season. Before that, they beat the Packers with the healthy Micah Parsons, got blown out by the Bills, beat the Jets, and then they'd beat the Cowboys and the Dolphins. So since that Jets win, they've gone every other week, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Now they're coming off a bye to a Saints team starting a rookie. Panthers are very much in playoff contention, and they just can't get it done. This is such a nonsense back and forth team. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean they had a chance to really go up in the division with the Buccaneers taking the loss on Thursday Night Football, and then they just threw it away. And the Saints have 4 wins this year. Half those wins are against the Panthers. Like this is not a team that really seems like they should be in the playoff conversation, but somehow they are. I don't know. I don't want to talk about the Panthers anymore.
Well, the reason they are in the playoff conversation is because the Buccaneers are another team that probably shouldn't be in the playoff conversation, but somebody from the NFC South has to get in. So the Panthers and the Buccaneers play each other 2 times over the next 3 weeks. Whoever wins that series is presumably making it to the playoffs.
I think what it really is they are a well coached team with some kind of a few higher end talents that can kind of be streaky, including their quarterback. But they just don't have the talent across the roster. Like if you look at their starting lineup, other than their really offensive linemen and one receiver, like they don't have the talent on defense to really stick with them. But I think they're well coached, and so that gets them to some wins. But also sometimes they can just almost get out talented.
Yeah, I just don't think they're a good team. They're 26th overall in EPA per play on defense and 22nd overall in EPA per play on offense. Like, I don't
But they
know.
win
This
the games
this
because
is
of the
not a
coaching.
yeah,
Or they
and
win the games in inexplicable ways because the other teams blow it.
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Talking about a team that blows
Gross.
it on the regular, the Miami Dolphins. So I did watch all of the Dolphins and Steelers game on Monday Night Football.
Talking about a team in
The
a city with a lot of blow, the Miami Dolphins.
Also that, talking about something that has blowholes, the Dolphins. Um, I watched all of that Dolphins and Steelers game only because I needed some crucial points from a few players to get into my fantasy football championships. I did not get those points. I am going to be playing for third place. I'm very sad about it. And Tua Tagovailoa also made presumably Mike McDaniel sad because the news came out this week that he has been benched and they are turning to their rookie quarterback, Quinn Ewers. Kurt, you probably know Quinn Ewers better than anyone. Did you have him ranked in your quarterback rankings in the offseason? What do you know? Is he good? Is he better than Tua?
I did not have Quinn Ewers in my top 5 quarterbacks coming into this past draft, but Quinn Ewers is famously known as one of the few guys who has actually gotten a perfect 1,000 as a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. Most guys, they'll maybe get him a 9999. Quinn Ewers actually got a perfect score, was the number 1 overall recruit in his class as a QB, very highly touted prospect, went to Ohio State, then ended up having to transfer to Texas. He never really quite lived up to it. He was a good college quarterback, but not amazing. And I don't know. From what we've seen in the NFL so far, both in preseason and the little bit that he did come in relief of Tua this year, I don't know that Quinn Ewers is it. So I don't dislike the move. I think that the Miami Dolphins maybe is worth seeing what they have in Quinn Ewers because I don't think none of us even ranked Tua in our QB rankings at the beginning of the year, which probably was a mistake considering he has not actually gotten injured, but he also has not been good. So
I stand by it.
I think you see what you have in Quinn Ewers, but I don't think it is much of anything. I think you're probably going back to the well for a QB in the draft.
Critical question. What hand does Quinn Ewers throw with?
Right hand.
There we go. Better than Tua.
Yeah, I think Quinn Ewers is someone that could make all the throws on a football field, but man, like I did actually watch a decent amount of him playing Texas last year, and he just had some games that were just ugly. I think he got injured last year as well, so that didn't help. But yeah, he can make all the throws. Again, he's a highly touted 5-star, but just just couldn't do it in a lot of games. But a team that could do it in one game against a very bad team, my Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, it's the Raiders, but you can only play who's on their schedule, and they did what they had to do against a very bad team. They blew them out 31-0, which, by the way, that same Raiders team only lost 24-17 to the Denver Broncos, 12-2 Denver Broncos, just a week before.
That was not the same Raiders team. That was a Raiders team starting Geno Smith. You were playing the Kenny Pickett Raiders.
First of all, Geno Smith, I think, went out pretty early in that game, like halftime or so. Second of all, I don't know how much better Geno Smith has been this year than Kenny Pickett. Um, but yeah, Eagles held them to under 75 yards on offense, which is an incredible defensive performance. And I will also say the Eagles' offensive play calling was actually pretty good. Nick Sirianni has been a part of the offensive meetings the last couple weeks, and it actually seems like it might have made a difference. There's a clip because the NFC East is on Hard Knocks right now. There's a clip that came out of Nick Sirianni saying to Jalen, like, "Hey, how about that play design?" And Jalen Hurts saying, "How about that throw?" And so there seems to actually be some decent play designs that are getting introduced, and there seems to be a little bit more sequencing. They stopped using Dallas Goedert in the red zone for quite a while, and now they're bringing Dallas Goedert back. He had 3 touchdown opportunities. He caught 2 of them. Well, catch is a
The basic
yeah.
thing that a receiver is supposed to do.
No, but he didn't it was like a pitch play, like a shovel. So it wasn't well, a
Right,
catch
yeah.
is really like a overemphasis of what happened there. He actually dropped the one catch that he could have had. Um, but I think the Eagles offense might actually be getting back on track here, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I think this Eagles team is finally getting into form here. I got my Eagles mug with me today with some hot chocolate in it, and I'm ready for a playoff run.
I think this game was entirely meaningless. The Raiders are like a practice squad team. They're not playing for anything. They've been terrible all year. They've won 2 games. Um, they've obviously won against the Patriots in week 1. Fluky game. Patriots probably should have won that. Can you guys name the other game that the Raiders won this year?
The Titans.
That is correct. They beat the Titans 20-10 on October
They only
12th.
lost by 1 to the Jaguars, by 1 to the Bears, 3 to the
Now,
that's pretty
on the contrary, you said the Raiders aren't playing for anything. They're playing for the first overall pick. Let's not get things twisted.
Yeah, I just don't think this means much. The Eagles can do whatever fancy tricks they want. Their offense was always going to look good against the Raiders. Their defense is used to playing against Kenny Pickett in practice from last year. So, sure, of course they held him to 75 yards. They knew all his tricks. They knew exactly what he was doing. Talk to me this week when the Eagles are playing the
yeah, I was gonna
Commanders,
say,
which isn't going to be a much better game,
I
but
don't think that'll
they're
help
at
very
least
much.
a they're at least more competitive than the Raiders. The other thing that I want to talk about is the bold predictions that you guys made a few weeks ago. Uh, Brett, you had predicted the Cowboys to win the division over the Eagles, which is technically still possible, but very unlikely. The Eagles will need to lose both of their games against the Commanders.
Yeah, I I just have to pick against the Eagles to win this division because it haven't had a repeat division winner in 21 years or whatever, so I have to do it.
And Kurt, you had predicted the Bengals to win out and make the playoffs. That is definitely not happening. The Bengals have been officially eliminated, and they looked pretty hapless and pathetic. They lost 24-0 against the Ravens.
You know what? A man can dream, but it sounds like Joe Burrow is only having nightmares.
I had a question for you, both of you actually. Your current quarterback, Kurt, maybe this doesn't apply so much to you, but Brett, Jalen Hurts, and 2 first-round picks for Joe Burrow. Do you say yes?
Here's the thing. I'm always gonna be a Jalen Hurts defender, and Jalen Hurts doesn't always look great, but he's just got this, like, Kobe Mamba mentality. Michael Jordan, he's, like, best friends with Michael Jordan, and, like, he just has this mentality, and the kid just wins games, and he loves winning, he hates losing, and I think he's actually a really good leader. And I'm not saying Joe Burrow isn't, but I I think there's only a few quarterbacks that I would take in that deal for, like, a Jalen Hurts and 2 firsts for a quarterback, and I think that would be, like, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes. But even, like, Lamar Jackson, I don't know, Jalen Hurts wins. I like Jalen Hurts, and I want
Yep.
him quarterback in my team.
All right. Well, Kurt, your
I
quarterback room is a mess. You don't have 2 first-round picks in the next 2 years. What would you give up for Joe Burrow on the Colts?
Correct. Well, I would in fact give up the corpse of Philip Rivers and the 2 first-round picks that we don't have. So they would have to be the first-round picks from 2028 and 2029. So those are so far in the future. We'll figure it out there. So yeah, sure, if that's an
I was gonna
option,
say,
we'll give up Philip Rivers and 2028, 2029 picks to get Joe
how
Burrow. I'll take
how
it
do
all
the
day.
Bengals
Your
feel
en
about Sauce Gardner?
your entire quarterback room, plus Jonathan Taylor and 2 first-round picks.
I mean, I don't know. I
Shane Steichen and Jonathan Taylor for Joe Burrow.
No, I don't think you can do Steichen. You need Steichen to keep that team on the rails.
Zach Taylor.
I don't know. I'm not going to hypothesize about random
That
trades
is what
here.
we always
I don't
do.
know. I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't do it if you're giving your entire quarterback room and Jonathan Taylor and 2 first-round picks for Joe Burrow, who we don't know how much longer he wants to play.
I think he wants to play. I just think he wants to play for a team that's actually, going to be playing behind him.
Committed to winning.
Yeah. Committed to shoveling off the seats so their fans don't have to sit in the snow.
Horrendous, horrendous organization.
Uh, I predicted that the Texans would win the AFC South, which is still possible, but not set in stone. The Jaguars would have to lose a number of games, and the Texans would have to win out, which is possible, but nothing set yet. But we wanted to do a few more bold predictions, bit a few more weeks. I'm going to start things off. I think that this year we will have a first-time Super Bowl winner, a team that has never won before. So if you look at the current playoff standings, that means it'll be an AFC team. All the NFC teams that are still in it have won before, except for the Lions and Panthers, and it's unlikely that they'll even make the playoffs, but possible. In the AFC, though, the Jaguars, Chargers, Bills, and Texans all have never won a Super Bowl. So, simple pick. I am picking one of those 4 teams to make the Super Bowl and to win it.
Hmm. I'm also not sure how hot this take is again.
Yeah, Scott and
Because
hot
you
takes are
just chose 4 out of 14 teams and said one of them will win the Super Bowl. I mean, sure. I
Most
mean,
years do
they
not have a
are
first-time Super Bowl winner.
yeah, and they are currently the 3, 5, 6, and 7 seeds in the AFC. I understand that. So we'll see. I mean, not terrible. I don't hate it. And definitely not the most likely thing to happen. So I don't mind it. And I don't know, I'm not necessarily one to talk, but here is my bold prediction. I'm saying that the number 1 seeded Denver Broncos will lose their first game in the playoffs, no matter who they play against. I have been down on the Broncos all year, and that has not looked good for me. So we're just gonna. I mean, if you're wrong, what do? Obviously, double down.
Obviously.
So here we are. Broncos to lose their first game. I don't care who they play. Somehow, if somebody makes the playoffs, it's worse than the teams currently in there. They're still losing to them. I don't care. Broncos lose their first game in the playoffs.
I'm kind of with you. Right now, the Broncos, tied with the Bills, are the third Super Bowl favorites, just behind the Rams and the Seahawks. This Broncos team does not win the Super Bowl. It's not. I will say that until they're in the Super Bowl, and then I'll still pick them to lose. I don't care who they're playing against the NFC. I don't really care who they're playing in the AFC. Yeah, I think they're losing. I'm with Kurt on this one. Just to kind of to scale our hot takes here, the Broncos are plus 850 for Super Bowl odds, and Kurt is picking them to lose their first game. The Buffalo Bills are plus 850 to win the Super Bowl, um, and Scott's picking them or three other teams to win the Super Bowl. So
Now,
What's
to
your
be
pick,
fair,
Brett?
the line for the Broncos to lose the first game, I mean, they'll probably be favored, but it probably won't be a lot. So
yeah,
it'll definitely be less than 850, I'm sure. But.
but yeah, the field. My pick, as usual, is the hottest of all picks. I am picking the Texans to win the Super Bowl over the Eagles. So this is the plus 1,300 Texans to win the Super Bowl over the plus 900 Philadelphia Eagles. So very hot take, but I have been riding with this Texans team for the last few weeks here. They have won their last 6 games. They had a close loss to the Broncos, and then they beat the 49ers, and they had a close loss to the Seahawks. So they've beat a lot of good teams, honestly, on their schedule. And I think this is just a team where when playoff football comes, this Texans team is going to be good. And this Texans defense is very, very good. So I think the Texans are my pick for the Super Bowl. And then it's just a homer pick. I think the Eagles are going to make it. But I do think the Texans defense against the Eagles in the Super Bowl would be too much to handle.
Yeah, I honestly think that the Bills and the Texans, despite being the 6 and 7 seed in the AFC, are probably the two best
Yeah.
teams in that playoff field. And I trust the Texans defense more than I trust any other unit in the playoffs currently. I don't like the Eagles to make the Super Bowl. They could do it, but I would pick the Rams, the Seahawks, even the Bears to make it to the Super Bowl over the Eagles at this point.
Yeah. Again, so right now, if you look at the current odds, like you said, the 6 and 7 seeded Bills and Texans to make the Super Bowl. The Bills have plus 370 odds. The Texans have plus 550. Those are the second and fourth best odds of any team in the AFC. The Broncos have the first, and the Patriots have the third. So they might be the 6 and 7 seed, but they're both in the top 4 for who is most likely to make the Super Bowl. That being said, the Philadelphia Eagles are plus 500. So they are actually slightly more likely to make the Super Bowl, more so than the Houston Texans, or at least based on what the odds makers think. Now, my personal opinion, I almost would say that I would pick the Texans as more likely to make the Super Bowl than the Eagles, just because I think the Eagles have a lot tougher path. I think the AFC just is pretty weak, or at least doesn't have the dominant teams that it's had in the past with, the Ravens and Chiefs up there. The one thing I'll say about the Texans, and it's what I've said about the Oklahoma Sooners in college, that defense is good enough to keep them in any game and keep them beating any team, but that offense is bad enough that they can lose any game as well.
The other fun thing about this prediction is if you're right, I will also be right because the Texans have never won the Super
Yes.
Bowl.
So I am just adding on to your hot take, pretty much. I am expanding it exponentially. The Houston Texans versus Philadelphia Eagles, the odds on FanDuel I'm looking at right now are plus 3,500. That exact matchup to happen, Texans versus Eagles. So plus 3,500. That's a hot take for you.
Also, if both your guys' predictions are true, mine is also probably true because the Texans would, depending on what seed they get, but if we stick with the current playoff picture, probably unlikely that it will be this exact playoff picture. But if the Texans are the 7th seed, they beat the 2-seeded Patriots, is it right now? The 2-seeded
Yeah.
Patriots, and then the Broncos get the 7th-seeded Texans in the first game and would lose to the 7th-seeded Texans. So all 3 of our picks could be correct.
Well, how fun would that be? We can move on to week 16, though. Feature Pick our featured games and who we think will win. I'm going to start off with the Broncos, who we just talked about. They're at home playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. Currently, they are favored over the Jaguars, but by 3 points. Both of these are teams that we've had some questions about that we haven't talked about all that much. And I think that the home favorites are going to win this one. I'm taking the Broncos.
Yeah, like I said, I've kind of been down on the Broncos this year. Got to double down on it. I know the Broncos are favored. They're at home. But the Jags have been a little bit hot lately. I know that they beat the Colts in a game that they were destined to beat the Colts from the moment it was scheduled because they were playing in Jacksonville. But they still put up, what was it, 32 points in that game, and then they went out and threw up 48 on the Jets. Like that offense is starting to look pretty good. Trevor looks like he's throwing with a little bit more confidence, especially with Jacoby Myers out there. He trusts his receivers a little bit more. I think this Jags team could go and beat the Broncos in Denver. That's what I'm picking.
Yeah, I love the Jags. I love Liam Cohen. Trevor Lawrence getting hot at just the perfect time. I think the Jaguars were taking this game, and I think it's double digits. That's another hot
Oh,
take. Jaguars beating the Broncos by double digits.
And I will say I think that Broncos defense has started to slip a little bit here
Yeah.
as the year's gone on. They were kind of top 3 at the beginning of the year. I believe I was just looking at it, and they're down to 8th in EPA per play as a defense. Don't get me wrong, still a really good defense, but I don't think they're maybe quite as good as they were at the beginning of the year. Now, the game that I'm picking is another one that could have some playoff implications. That is the New England Patriots at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, if the Patriots lose this game and the Bills win their game, that would mean that they're tied atop the AFC East. And that could make things interesting for the playoff picture. Like I said, the Patriots could drop down from being in that 2 seed all the way down to like a 5 seed, which might not be the worst thing because it could end up meaning they're playing the Steelers, which in some ways you'd rather play them than a team like the Texans or the Bills that you might see as the 2 seed. But I do think this will be a good game against the Ravens playing in Baltimore. And I'm actually going to go with the Ravens in this one. Like I think the Patriots are a good team, but they haven't played a ton of good teams. And the Ravens, backs against the wall, they need to win this one if they want to see the playoffs. Just like the Chiefs, like we've said it a couple times, the Ravens are pretty much in must-win mode, and I think they will go out and get this win. So I'm picking Ravens.
you guys know that I've been on the Patriots all year. That's not going to change this week. I am taking the Patriots over the Ravens. Even though the Ravens beat the Bengals 24 nothing, I don't think that means all that much. The Ravens prior to that 2 weeks ago lost to the Bengals on Thanksgiving. They lost to the Steelers. I don't think they're that good of a team overall. Lamar apparently has a cold and he's still fighting off his injury. He just hasn't been the same Lamar all around this season. So I'm picking the Patriots. I think the game that you briefly mentioned there, the Bills, who are playing the Browns, that's going to be an interesting one, just for the fact that Myles Garrett could set the sack record by taking down Josh Allen.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm also picking the Ravens over the Patriots again. Been down on the Patriots, fake team. I think they lose this one as well. The game that I'm picking this week is the Cowboys and Chargers, and I kind of went back and forth a little bit on this one, but I think the Cowboys are going to take this one. Again, their backs against the wall. They got to win out to make the playoffs. And I think they're gonna just barely take this one. The Chargers defense is pretty good, but the Chargers offense has been a little shaky. So I think the Cowboys will be able to take this one.
Yeah, I think I'd probably go with the Chargers. I don't feel super strongly. The Cowboys have been a little bit better as of late, but then they went out and lost the Minnesota Vikings this past week, and it kind of made me lose some faith in them for sure. The Chargers, I don't know. They're a good team, but with that offensive line, I keep saying it every week, but I just have a hard time trusting them. I know the Cowboys defense has been bad, but it has been better as of late. I think I'd go the Chargers, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys there. It's really back and forth. I mean, the favorite in that game right now is the Cowboys, but only by 2.5 points. They're at home in Jerry World. I I think that I want to take the Chargers. I like the defense. The Cowboys defense was looking good for a couple weeks there and is coming back to earth. So I think the Chargers will be able to score points on them. So I think I'm gonna go don't bet Brett and pick the Chargers.
Oh, don't bet Brett has died, brother. Don't bet
You
Brett
just
is
picked against the
long,
Chiefs.
long ago.
You can pick the Titans this week. I'd bet Brett on that one, maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe.
I might.
We can talk about a few other games that we are interested in pretty quickly here. We'll just run through. We mentioned the Bucks and Panthers are playing for control of the NFC South. I don't think any of us has deeper thoughts on that. The Packers and Bears have a rematch of 2 weeks ago, this time without Micah Parsons and at home in Chicago. I want to take the Bears there. I don't know about you guys.
I think I'd still stick with the Packers. I just think they're the better team. Even with that, with Michael Parsons being out, I think Jeff Hafley will figure out a way to make it work on defense. I don't think they're maybe a Super Bowl contender, but I think they can still probably do enough to beat the Bears.
I'm taking the Bears.
Steelers, Lions, these are two teams that are Steelers are in the playoffs, Lions are just outside. I think the Lions are the better team, but the Steelers have been keeping things relatively competitive. You guys interested in that game at
Yeah,
all?
Lions are favored by 7 points, and I think they're going to win this one pretty handily. I think even that line is a little bit generous towards the Steelers. I think the Lions are going to take this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I really don't think the Steelers are a great team, and I think the Lions are definitely the better team in that matchup. So I would agree. I would definitely favor the Lions there.
And finally, a game that's probably going to decide the NFC West. The Rams are playing the Seahawks in Seattle on Thursday night, which is tomorrow as we record this. Which is a really big game. Currently, the Rams are favored, but only by 1.5 points. So the odds makers think this is going to be tough. The Rams are going to be without Devontae Adams. So it's going to be maybe a little bit harder for them to score. I think I still want to take the Rams, but I could go either way on this one.
Yeah, this is a really good game, and it might be a little bit of a upset that none of us picked it as our game of the week because it probably is the best game of the week realistically. These two teams, when they met up just a few weeks ago, it was a good game, but the Rams did come out on top. And I think that's what I'll pick again. I think I would choose the Rams just narrowly to beat the Seahawks, but I do think that Devontae Adams injury matters.
I think that we're all just a little bit scared to pick a side in this one more than anything.
I think I'm taking the Seahawks just because I think they're going to split their two matchups here, and I actually think I picked the Seahawks against the Rams the first time, so I'm just going to take them again. I think Mike McDonald is going to win one of these matchups.
I honestly always a good bet to go against the other two. Are there any other games coming up this week that you guys want to touch on? It's a lot of mid matchups. We'll see Philip Rivers again against the 49ers and maybe hopefully for the last time this season.
I just like to put a little PSA out there for all the teams at the bottom of the league. Don't win games. Just tank for that number one overall pick, guys. Don't do something stupid.
For Fernando Mendoza though, is that who you want?
It doesn't have to be Fernando Mendoza. You can go get anybody you want.
Well, you got options for sure. And we know that all of our listeners have options. So thank you for making the choice to listen to us. That is all for this week. If you have any questions or there's something that you would like us to talk about in the future, please do leave us a comment, send us an email, comment on our TikTok, Instagram, wherever you can find us. We're probably there. Um, Thank you so much for listening to the Meebros.
You can be our second emailer. That's meebroshow with one S at gmail.com. Become our second emailer.
Kind of a big deal.
definitely a big deal.